Naming alkynes is very similar to naming alkenes and alkanes. The only difference is what the infix is. If you remember, the prefix tells you about the number of carbons in the carbon chain, so meth, eth, prop, bute, etc. The infix tells you about bonding, and the suffix tells you about the functional groups you have. So let's go back to that infix. The infixes we've seen already is an, that's if you have all single bonds. And then we saw en, that's if you have at least one double bond. And now we're going to see the infix yn, that's if you have at least one triple bond. And you can remember these because these were originally the first three vowels. So A, E, I, O, U. The I got changed to a Y over time. So the first vowel is single bonds. The second vowel is double bonds. And the third vowel would be triple bonds. Just make sure it's a Y, because it does get changed to a Y over time. So alk is a prefix that means a hydrocarbon, a molecule made of hydrogen and carbon. Alkanes were hydrocarbons that had all single bonds. Alkenes were hydrocarbons that have at least one double bond. And now we're going to talk about alkynes, which are hydrocarbons that have a triple bond. And when we name them, the prefix will still represent the number of carbons. The suffix will still represent the functional group. Remember, E is the functional group for hydrocarbons, or the suffix for hydrocarbons. It's just the infix will change to yn. Okay, so in this first one, we don't have any branches. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons. Notice that, well, okay, so 6 carbons, so you know the prefix is hex. Notice that no matter how you number this, the triple bond starts at carbon number 3. So even if I had gone the other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you notice the triple bond starts at carbon number 3. So we'll keep that in mind because we have to say where the triple bond occurs in the chain. But we have hex, we have at least one triple bond, and so the infix is yn, and we only have hydrogen and carbon in this molecule, so the suffix is e, hexyne. Now, the name for this is not just hexyne, we have to say where the triple bond starts. It starts at carbon number 3, so it's 3-hexyne. That would be the name for that molecule. All right, B. Now in B we do have a branch. Now we could number this two ways. We could number it left to right, or we could number it right to left. Either way, we get 6 carbons, so hex. Either way, we have a triple bond in the molecule, and so the infix will be yn. And the molecule only has hydrogen and carbon in it. You'd quickly see that it would have something else, because if a molecule has something other than hydrogen and carbon, there will be letters written in the structure. O for oxygen, N for nitrogen. But if it's just these little sticks, these little straight lines in the skeletal structure, then it's just hydrogen and carbon, and so the suffix for that is E. Okay, now let's think about the numbering. Either way we number this, the triple bond starts at 3. And triple bonds are more important than the branches. So if they're ever conflicting, you'll want the triple bond to get the lower number, even if that gives the branch the higher number. But whatever way we number this, we get a 3 for the triple bond. But notice, if we number it the blue way, going left to right, we have the branch coming off of carbon 2. And if we number it from right to left, the branch comes off of carbon number 5. So we want to give that branch the lower number, so we're going to number it the way on the bottom, the blue way. And so this gives us the triple bond starting at carbon number 3, so in front of hexyne you have 3 and then a dash. So 3-hexyne. So that's our backbone, 3-hexyne. We also have a branch on carbon number 2. There's 1 carbon in this branch, so the prefix is meth. And because it's a branch, immediately after that comes YL. Now it's coming off of carbon number 2 of the backbone, so in front of the branch name you put a 2 and a dash, always between numbers and letters goes a dash. Well, that's our branch name. If you put the branch in front of the backbone, the full name for the molecule is 2-methyl-3-hexyne. All right, this next one doesn't have a branch. C doesn't have any branches coming off of it. You'll notice, though, that you get a lower number for the triple bond if you number this from the right to the left. And be really careful that both of the carbons in the triple bond are represented. Don't skip over those. You may be used to seeing just zigzags, so every point is a carbon. Watch out, because these triple bonds are linear, each carbon at the end of them each end of the 3 lines is a carbon, even though it doesn't zigzag. So you've got 8 carbons here. The prefix for 8 carbons is oct. Because we have at least one triple bond, the infix is yn. And because we only have hydrogen and carbon, we don't see any letters written in. The suffix is e, so octyne. It's not just octyne, we have to say where the triple bond starts, and you can see it starts on carbon number 3. In between numbers and letters goes a dash, and the name for this molecule is 3-octyne. And then D. So here we have we have branches, so we want to find the parent chain. The parent chain is the longest chain you can find without going backwards or lifting up your pencil. That includes the triple bond. It has to include the triple bond. Even if it's not the longest chain overall, it's the longest chain that includes the triple bond. That's the parent. So here we could have, starting with the triple bond, to make sure we include it, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the longest carbon chain we could find here. 4 carbons long. So the prefix for that is bute. For 4 carbons, we have at least one triple bond, so the infix will be yn, and it's a hydrocarbon, so the suffix is e, so butyne. Now we have to think about where the triple bond starts. How do we number this backbone? We could number it left to right, as we have, or, as I'm going to write above, we could number it from right to left. Which one is the better way to number it? The way at the bottom gives us the lower number for the alkyne. Alkyne starts at carbon number 1. Whereas on top it starts at carbon number 3. But the one on top gives us the lower number for the branch. These branches come off of carbon number 2, whereas here they come off of carbon number 3. So what's more important, the triple bond or the branch? The triple bond is more important. It's because the blue numbering scheme, left to right, gives us a lower number for the triple bond that we go with that, even though it gives us a larger number for the branches, because the triple bond is more important than the branches. Excuse me. So here, our triple bond is going to start on carbon number 1. So the backbone name is really 1-butyne. Now we have branches. They're both coming off of carbon number 3. Both of the branches only have 1 carbon in them. The prefix for 1 carbon is meth. And because these are carbon branches, immediately after the meth will come a YL. Now these are both the same type of branches. And here, let me space this out so it's a little clearer to see. So these are both the same type of branches. There's both methyl branches. So we can sort of smush them together. We can take the 2 3s and write them together, separated by a comma, 3, 3. Always between numbers and letters goes a dash. You want to say how many branches you're smushing together. So here we're smushing 2, 1 and 2. So the prefix for that is di, and then just mention the type of branch. The type of branch is methyl. So those 2 branches together would be called 3,3-dimethyl. And you just take that name, put it in front of the backbone, and the full name for this compound is 3,3-dimethyl-1-butyne. So, hopefully this gives you a sense of how to name some simple alkynes. The one thing that's not represented here that you should still be able to do on a test is to assign R or S naming, assign the RS configuration to a chiral center. So if you don't feel comfortable with that, make sure you look back at the exercises we've done in the previous chapter and many times in chapter 5 on stereoisomerism, and make sure you feel comfortable with that. But you'll notice that all this naming is really the same as the stuff we've done before. The only difference is that infix yn.